Greetings comic book fans, welcome to the Dude Cave and welcome to my comic book reviews for the first week of September 2015. This week I've got 19 books to review, so without further ado, let's get to those reviews. So kicking things off this week with DC Comics, and I've got 5 books to review from them. We're going to start off with Midnighter issue number 4. I really enjoyed this. It was a nice team up issue with Midnighter teaming up with Grayson to get a job done in Russia, which they seem to be going to Russia a lot. I like the idea of these vampires and all what was going on there. It's a very much feels the main part of the story is very much a one and done kind of deal, but there is something at the end that you feel is going to carry on. This book I feel is very accessible in the fact that you have this overarching story of Midnighter trying to get all this tech back that has been stolen, and that's your overarching story, but then you have each issue's kind of a different mission of that. So it's a very easy book to get into. I'd imagine if you was new to Midnighter, you could pick up issue 4 and you would enjoy it as a story in its own right, and they kind of remind you of the stuff you need to know as you go along. So I like that about the book. This was a fun team up. Love the chemistry between Midnighter and Grayson. I feel they work really well together. They both have like kind of different approaches to getting the job done, which makes it interesting. But there's also kind of this flirting for Midnighter with Grayson, but also the kind of friendly banter with teasing each other that I like as well. I did get a chuckle. There's a scene where they end up in a sauna, both of them wearing nothing but a towel and a smile, and I kind of got a chuckle at that in the role reversal, how in comics historically you'll have artists will make it so that an attractive female will end up in a shower or semi-clothed for no apparently good reason, and I like how kind of the role's been reversed now, and with Grayson that he's never in a book where he either doesn't have some kind of taking his clothes off, or we don't get one butt shot. So I do get a chuckle out of that with the kind of the role reversal. But this book's a lot of fun. Really enjoyed this issue. I'm going to give Midnighter issue number 4 stars out of 5. We then got Batman Beyond issue number 4. Really enjoyed this issue. I think this is the best issue yet. This is a series that has really surprised me. I didn't expect to like it going in, but the book gets better. This issue, Batman Beyond, our future Batman, Tim Drake, figured that he'd outsmarted Brother Eye, but Brother Eye had outsmarted him, and now knows where Gotham is. Gotham is the last city that Brother Eye hasn't kind of taken over and converted. So now Batman is trying to defend Gotham from Brother Eye and his drones, and to stop the people from getting converted. All the characters get their moments here that we've met so far. We're introduced to a new character in Microbe, and all in all, I really enjoyed this issue, and the end, like really an interesting direction where we're going to go. But yeah, really enjoyed this issue. All action, story constantly moving forward. It's a great book to pick up if you enjoyed Future's End but was disappointed with its lack of conclusion. This really is carrying on the story from there, and so far they've done a good job, and I'm going to give Batman Beyond issue number 4 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Green Arrow issue number 44. This was a kind of a step backwards for the book. There's a lot of elements I felt didn't work. The whole date thing with Ollie going on a date didn't work. Why you take your wolf along with you on a date, that made no sense. Why you want to get to know your partner better, so you take him to see a clairvoyant, that makes no sense. I understood we had to end up with the clairvoyant because she's a witch and she's going to give us George's history and backstory, but I didn't get, the way it all felt kind of, I felt, they could have come up with a more inventive way to do it, and I felt there was a lot of points in the story that didn't work. I liked the story of the old one, that was really cool, and getting George's history was good, and I like the Bone Hunters as characters. They seem interesting. However, I don't fully understand why they want George. I know he's the son of the wolf that was with the old one, but I still don't get why that's important when what they wanted from the old one was that bone axe. I don't get why, they needed the wolf as well. That doesn't compute at the moment. Tarantula seems an interesting character that I'm looking forward to finding out more, and I'm confident that this book will get back on course next issue, but this was definitely a step back, and I'm going to give Green Arrow issue 44 3 stars out of 5. So next up we have Batman Detective Comics issue number 44. This felt a bit of a rushed issue. It concludes the first story arc with Bat Gordon, and I think it's Brian Buccellado's last issue on the book. Peter Tomasi is coming along next issue. So we get everything wound up, and it did feel a bit rushed. There were elements I liked, like the whole thing about that there's this vacuum created by Batman up in there, and people are trying to take advantage of it. I liked that, and the whole learning curve with Bat Gordon I liked as well. I liked the wrap up of the Bullock story, that was really good. But a lot of it did seem very rushed, and that I felt hurt the book. But and I don't know how long some of these things would have gone on for, and how some of the stuff maybe they had to wind up because maybe Tomasi's going to do something different. I don't know, but it did feel rushed. So I'm going to give Batman Detective Comics issue 44 4 stars out of 5. Next up we have Green Lantern issue number 44. Really enjoyed this issue. It does feel a bit fillery because it's kind of a one and done kind of story, but it gives Trapper a bit more to do and lets him step up, which is really cool. I'm liking where Vendidi's taking the Hal Jordan character and what he's doing with him right now. That's all really cool, and it was a good idea for a one and done story and kind of fitted it in with everything else, but it doesn't further the overall plot. It's just kind of a sidestep, but a fun sidestep at that, and I'm going to give Green Lantern 44 4 stars out of 5. So those are the DC books. Next up, I'm going to review the books from the Indies. So we are with the Indies, and this week we have 8 books from 3 different companies to review. So kicking things off, we read Valiant and issue number 8 of Imperium. Last issue we saw Arada encounter Divinity and had finally met his match, but by the end of the issue Arada had kind of figured out a way he could defeat Divinity, and that things wouldn't go the same way the second time. So that's where this issue is a bit disappointing, because we don't get no kind of hint of that plan this issue, as Divinity still has the upper hand over Arada. What I did like about the issue, however, is that we get to see the decision Arada makes at the end. We get to see his journey to come into that decision, and I liked that. I also liked the way that they really built up Divinity as this massive character who is so powerful that, you know, could the combined force of the Valiant universe ever hope to defeat Divinity? You know, if he really truly wanted to reimagine the Earth in the image he wants to reimagine it in, could anybody really stop him? And so I'm interested to see where they take Divinity, because I think they've got another book coming out of his next year, I think. But this, overall, I enjoyed it. Just the direction it was hinted at last issue, it didn't really go, so that was disappointing. But still a really good issue and a very satisfactory conclusion to the second arc of what's been a tremendous book. And I'm going to give Imperium issue number 8 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have also from Valiant Exo Manowar issue number 40, part 2 of Exodus, where the Vine have come to Earth to relocate because they want to be near the Shahara armor which Exo Manowar uses. So Earth are panicking because they, after the armor wars, they don't want more aliens, and they're nervous, and everybody's got a finger on to kind of fire on each other, and Arik is trying to get peace here and try and find a solution that is satisfactory to both races, and that's really interesting. With refugees been a lot in the news lately, this is this kind of is really quite topical, and this was already a great book, but just the introduction of the Vine have really shook it up and made it even greater. We've got forces that want war between the two races and are trying to cause as much trouble as they could. You've got the Visigoth, who are in the middle trying to keep the two apart, but then they really don't like the Vine because they can't forgive them for keeping them as slaves, even though this isn't the same group of Vine that did enslave them. You know, you've got humans who are nervous because of what happened with the armor hunters. There's so much here that is going on. It's just a really good book to read right now. A lot going on, And like I say, very topical because refugees has been very much in the news lately. So yeah, brilliant book. I'm going to give X Manowar issue number 40 5 stars out of 5. So next up now, moving over to Image, and we have a Lazarus issue number 19. Last issue, our main character Forever Carlisle got shot. So this issue is the fallout of that, and that's really cool to see. There's a lot of scheming going on within the Carlisle family, and I'm really interested in where this is going. And this was a good issue. I wouldn't say their best issue, but there's a lot of really good stuff here, a lot of scheming going on. So yeah, it's good stuff. And the art, there's these like scenes where they're in the snow that are just gorgeous. I don't know if you can see it very well with my camera, but yeah, those scenes in the snow are just tremendous. This is a thicker than usual issue, as Greg Rucka gives you in the back a kind of glimpse at his new series that's coming out next month. I can't believe next October's already next month. And it's going to be a black and white book, art by Nicholas Scott, which looks really good. It's called Black Magic. It follows this cop called Rowan, who's also a witch. So there's a lot of books at the moment with witches and kind of witchcraft kind of books. But I like the spin on that she's a cop, so she has to work within the law while also being this kind of person that's got this mystical side. So I think there's enough of a twist on it there, that familiar theme but with a new feel. A new twist. So I'm definitely going to try that out, because so far what I've read of Rucka's I've really enjoyed. I liked it. I loved his Punisher run. I really enjoyed Lazarus so far. So and also Nicola Scott, I loved her when she was on Earth 2. She did some great art on that book. Even when the book went away from the story I was enjoying, I still enjoyed getting it because of her art. So yeah, a creative team I'm definitely going to check out there. But this issue, Lazarus, was another good issue with things building nicely, simmering nicely. I'm going to give Lazarus, issue number 19, 5 stars out of 5. We then have Jupiter's Circle, issue number 6. This concludes the first book, and it was a bit disappointing because the big reveal of him finding out, we seem to have jumped. Like last issue he didn't know yet, and then this issue we join the story and he knows. And it's kind of, there's been this jump, like there's these missing pages that they forgot to put in, which was the really exciting stuff of him finding out. So that was disappointing. I still quite don't know all the characters' names, which it would be handy if they had like maybe on the inside cover with all the names. And I don't know, maybe if you've read Jupiter's Legacy, which is this is the prequel to that book, if you've read Jupiter's Legacy, maybe you know these characters already, so you don't need to be introduced to their names. But for somebody who's only buying it from this, and I don't want to go to that book yet until this book's finished, it's a bit confusing trying to keep all the names in order, especially since a lot of the times they don't use their superhero names, they use their real names, which can get confusing when you don't know the characters to begin with. So that would be nice if somewhere they put like just one page with names on it would be good. There was stuff in this I did like though. I like seeing the direction Skyfox takes when he finds out what's happening with his girl. I also really like the fact that the guy whose name I can't remember, who's now with the girl, that his powers are like he can take over people's mind and stuff. So like everybody's kind of not sure, is she really in love with him or has he done something to her? Like even his brother at one point asks him, which I really like that there's that doubt, so that's really cool. All in all, this was really good. I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't up to previous issues and it felt like we missed a bit. But I'm going to give Jupiter's Circle, issue number 6, 4 stars out of 5. So next up we have a new book from Image. What would a week be without an Image number 1? This week it's Plutona, issue number 1, and I was going into this book, I was sure I was going to dislike it. It's got kids in. I don't like books with kids in. But I read this and I loved it, and I just can't understand why. Well, I can't. Let me rephrase that. I can't understand how this book has got such a grip of me. Is it the art that is so great? Is it the writing that is great? Or is it the characters that I really feel fleshed out? Oh god, I can't get my letters out. The characters feel really fleshed out. We have like this girl on the cover, she's pretty selfish. and her best friend Diane, who seems kind of put on. Then we've got Mai's brother Mikey, who she has to look after. We then have another character called Timmy, who's a cape spotter, which I love that idea. Like, if there were superheroes, you would have people that would be cape spotters, that would, their whole thing would be tracking superheroes. That makes total sense, and just a great idea. I love. And then we have this other character, Ray, who seems to have an abusive father. And there was a nice scene at the beginning where all the kids have been woken up by their parents to get ready for school, and then we jump to Ray, and he's the one waking up his parent because his dad's drunk on the sofa and he needs to get to work. So I like that kind of change to show, you know. And Ray kind of masks his pain by being a jerk and a bully, but there's like moments between him and Tim where you actually think, you know, there's nice moments there, but then then they'll cover that up by being a jerk. By the end of the issue, they found our dead superhero, but I really enjoyed the journey getting there, and at no point did I say, God, haven't they got there yet? You know, it was a really pleasant, enjoyable first issue. I also really like the idea of having the backup where we get to see the last days of Plutona, so we get to know our dead superhero, and it kind of gives more gravitas to finding her dead, that we're getting to know about her and her life. It kind of adds more than if you just meet somebody and the first time you meet them they're dead. It doesn't quite have the same impact as seeing somebody dead that you know and you care about. And I like that idea of the backup, that's kind of adding that to the book to give more gravity to the things that are happening. Super excited to see where this book's going to go. We'll be adding it to my pull list, and I'm going to give Plutona issue number 1 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have We Stand on Guard issue number 3. I love the fact that once you read the book, the cover makes total sense. I think the Americans as the villains are still very one-dimensional. They're not really fleshed out at all. They're just these evil, wicked people, and we aren't really got behind them too much at the moment. And with a writer of Brian K. Vaughan's caliber, I'm a bit disappointed, but I've got faith that he'll rectify that as we go on, and we maybe learn more from both sides. Because at the moment we're really pretty much concentrating on the Canadians. I liked, you know, a lot of stuff that happens here, a lot of action. You know, we have some bad stuff happening to our team leader who gets captured, and we have the team kind of coming to the decision of what to do next. I really like this. I also like how each issue starts off with showing a bit of our main character's childhood with her brother. I like that, and them on the run. I really like that as we go on, and you kind of get more of an idea of her journey. All in all, I'm enjoying this still. I hope they flesh out the Americans a bit more, but I'm going to give We Stand on Guard issue number 3 4 stars out of 5. Next up we have, moving over to Titan, we have Doctor Who. This is the 10th Doctor Adventures, issue number 15, the final issue of this. They're going to relaunch it as year 2. I think it's next month that happens. But I really wanted to enjoy this because I'd enjoyed this run, but I was really disappointed with this issue. We seem to spend a whole issue kind of standing around talking, the villain kind of saying, I'm going to do this, and the Doctor saying, no, if you do this, the whole universe is going to blow up. So they spend a whole issue trying to convince him not to do it. He then does it, realizes the Doctor's right, and manages to stop things before it blows up the universe. And then they decide that they're going to help him, and everybody goes their separate ways. That's pretty much it. There's no real excitement, no real drama here. It's just a bunch of characters standing around, jabbering on, and nothing really exciting happening. We've got characters that are bogging down, slowing down the story, who at this point serve absolutely no purpose and should have been left behind issues ago. Yeah, it was very disappointing for what has been a really good series, and I would have liked more time to kind of to give Gabby and Cindy a moment. Now Cindy has seen what happens and what Gabby's life is like with the Doctor. I would have really liked to see between those two characters kind of discussing that, you know. That would have been cool, but instead we just get them jabbering on about trying to convince this guy not to do something, and I just felt, yeah, it was very disappointing for a final issue, and I'm going to give Doctor Who 10th Doctor Adventures issue number 15 2 stars out of 5. So our final indie book of the week, it is Doctor Who, 4 Doctors, issue number 4, and this is the best issue of this series so far. The Doctor has been captured by a future version of himself, who is now with the Vought. We get answers to what's been happening, and things become a lot clearer about the Vought and why the Doctor doesn't remember the Vought or Marinus. So we get a lot of answers, and that's really cool. And you know, things look pretty grim by the end of the issue. We get some shocking moments as well that I didn't expect to happen. But the story's all moving in a very interesting direction, and this was definitely the best yet. And if issue 5 is better than this, oh my god, that is going to be excellent. But yeah, really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give Doctor Who, the 4 Doctors, issue number 4, 5 stars out of 5. So those are the indies. Our final batch of reviews are going to be Marvel. So now it's Marvel, and we have 5 marvelous books this week. So first up, we're going to go with the Secret Wars books, and we have Thors, issue number 3. This issue, the book gets back on track. We get back to the kind of cop drama that we kind of missed out on last issue, as kind of Ultimate Thor is interrogating Loki. They think he's the serial killer that's been killing all the Jane Fosters and Donald Blakes. And kind of this issue, so a lot of this issue is dialogue between Thor and Loki, which is really good, because even though there's a lot of dialogue, the story's still been advanced while they're chatting. So it doesn't, you don't feel like they're just talking for the sake of talking, but it's actually moving the story. We get a big twist and a big reveal, which was really cool. And by the end of the book, Ultimate Thor is in pretty bad shape. We get the arrival of our Dishonored for the Unworthy, which is cool, and it feels like we're getting nearer to answers with this book, which I'm really pleased with. Really enjoyed this issue. It was a lot of fun. Loads of great stuff going on, and I give Thors issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Age of Apocalypse issue number 3. This was almost my pick of the week. It was the penultimate book I read this week, and I really enjoyed it, as you can expect for it almost to be my pick of the week. They get the right balance this issue by telling us the history of this version of the Age of Apocalypse, but at the same time kind of moving the current day story forward with Sabretooth's investigation of what's been going on and what the humans are up to. So that's really cool. So everything's kind of moving story. We get some big reveals this issue, and by the end of the issue, kind of big things have happened, and I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen next, because it really pushes it into a real interesting direction. And it was just great from start to finish, and I'm going to give Age of Apocalypse issue number 3 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have House of M issue number 2, and this issue was really good again, as like everything's been set up and things are really, the story's really moving along, but it's moving along at a nice pace, but it doesn't feel like it's going too quickly. We get everything kind of set up. Hawkeye, Misty Knight and Black Cat try and assassinate Magneto. We have Quicksilver and Namor kind of planning to overthrow Magneto. We've got the Red Guard trying to catch up with the Scarlet Witch's sons, while we've got Scarlet Witch also trying to catch up with her sons. So you've got a lot going on here. The story's constantly progressing. The art's really cool as well. We get like a bit of a shock. I'm trying to find a page, a cool page. The art I liked as well. It's not awesome, but there's some good stuff here. So yeah, the art's really cool. All in all, this book is just a lot of fun. Really great read. Story just moving along brilliantly, and I give House of M issue number 2 5 stars out of 5. So next up we have Last Days of Silver Surfer. This is issue number 14 of Silver Surfer. Dan Slott's doing a really good job with this book. Love that cover. Silver Surfer and this other character whose name currently escapes me. Let's have a look. You can never find the word you want when you need it. Glorian. So Silver Surfer and Glorian are going to rebuild the universe. Dawn is rebuilding the Earth, but she only knows her hometown. So she recreates her hometown, but when she tries to create the rest of the world, she only knows it from postcards. So the rest of the world is all kind of like cardboard cutouts. So she calls the Silver Surfer back to help her. Meanwhile, the Surfer and Glorian have been going around the universe, and they've been rebuilding everything in the universe, putting everything back where it should be. And then Silver Surfer comes to this point where he recreates Galactus, and then decides, why should there be a Galactus in the universe when he causes so much pain? And then kind of becomes kind of like the Dr. Victorious kind of thing, as he's going around now rebuilding worlds that have been destroyed and really changing everything. And it kind of, by the end of the book, it looks like there might be a cost to all this. Really great stuff, really enjoyed it. I love in Aldrin's art. There's a bit of a feel of Night World to it, to me, reading this issue, and kind of some of the kind of ideas and concepts that are in here. I'm really enjoying it though, and I'm super excited to see where it's going to go. Sad that this is coming to an end. Hopefully we'll get some good news soon, and this will carry on, because so far I've just really loved Dan Slott and Mike Holdred on this book, and they've done a really good job. And I give Silver Surfer issue number 14 5 stars out of 5. So our final Marvel book here on this set of reviews, it is Daredevil issue number 18, the final issue. It's really sad to see this team say goodbye to the character. While I'm excited for what Charles Soule's going to do, because he's a lawyer, and that should be a real interesting thing there for a lawyer writing a lawyer character. It gives the book a unique voice. But I really enjoyed seeing this creative team on it, and they end it brilliantly. Everything gets wrapped up. The art, as always, is fantastic. There's some really great moments between the different characters, particularly between like Matt and between, you know, Foggy. And all in all, I just really loved this book. I really enjoyed this. They just gave it the perfect send-off, and I can't really say much more that would do it justice. And I'm going to give Daredevil issue number 18 5 stars out of 5. So those are my books for this week. Only one thing left to do, find out what's my pick of the week. So here we are now, my pick of the week. It is Groot issue number 4, and this book, every issue has been a real treat, has been a lot of fun, but this issue more than any other I really enjoyed. It was the last book I read, and I'd read some really good books this week, but I laughed so loud as I read this book. There was so much fun, but it was just a great reading experience, and I just don't think we get enough fun in our lives, and Groot is that. It is great fun. It's a great all ages book. I know on the cover it is rated teen, so it's every parent's kind of what they want their kids to read, but there's no swearing in here, there's no adult humor. There's a bit of violence because it's like space battles and stuff, but there's nothing overly violent or overly graphic. So this is a book that does feel to me more of an all ages book, and when I think of an all ages book, this is the type of book I think of, because a lot of times people think all ages means dumbed down, and this isn't dumbed down. There's some stuff here that kids might not get that adults will get, but then there's also a lot of stuff in this that kids will chuckle at as well. So that's why I think of an all ages book that works for all ages, that you can have a different reading experience reading this as a child and reading this as an adult, but you can all enjoy it and you can all get it and stuff. So that's my idea of all ages, and this is just brilliant. The art throughout the book is glorious. Really love the art. It looks gorgeous all the way through. The Rocket and Groot characters are kind of spot on to how they are in the movie, and I can hear the voices of the characters in the films, and that's really good. I loved Groot's road trip, and picking up all these different characters to kind of help him rescue Rocket is really cool. A lot of stuff going on here. Really great treat. Really enjoyed it, and a lot of fun. And I'm going to give Groot issue number 4 my pick of the week. So we've reached the end of the video, which can mean only one thing. That is, it's time to find out who the company of the week. For those of you who may be new to my videos, what company of the week is I take Marvel, for example. I add together the scores I got from the Marvel books. I divide it by the number of books of Marvel books I've reviewed, and gives me an average score. I do the same for the others, and then we find out who's the company of the week. Is it the Indies, Marvel, or DC? So this week in third place we have DC Comics with an average rating of 4. In second place with an average rating of 4.2 we have the Indies, which was a bit of a shock because the Indies had some low marks. Like, you had a Doctor Who that got 4, but they had more books than DC, and that's what worked out for them, because the low score managed to average out better over many books. So I mentioned a few weeks ago, what did having less books kind of help? And in this case, having less books hurt DC, because they had 3 stars for the Green Arrow, but they didn't have enough books to spread that across. While the Indies, they had more books, so they were able to spread that low score, get an average. So that's no surprise. My company of the week are Marvel Comics with a perfect score of 5. Yeah, every book this week I got from Marvel I gave a 5 to, so it's like a really good week for Marvel. So I'd like to say I give some people a shout out here. I'd like to thank, I've got the names written down here on my phone, Registal, Gemma Grant, Only Comic Books, Sleepy Reader 666, Manuel Noah, and Robert Elias. I'd like to thank you all for leaving comments on my videos. I'd also like to apologize if I took time to reply to them. For some reason, not all the comments get emailed to my phone, because usually somebody leaves a comment, I get an email to say someone's left a comment, but they hadn't, so I hadn't checked. So I'm gonna have to make sure a few times a week I check on my computer, because it doesn't always come through to my phone. So I apologize if in some of your cases it was a couple of weeks, maybe even a month before I got back to you, but I thank you all for leaving comments on my video. I really appreciate it. That's me done for this week. I've still got Kanan to read. I've managed to dig out issue number 1, so I can reread that. Issue 2 has arrived in the post, so I can read that. And then of course I picked up issue 3, 5 and 4. 3, 5 and 4 from my comic book shop. So I've got those to read, so I'll be going to do that. So yeah, that pretty much everything. I will be back on Wednesday with a haul video. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please give me those beautiful thumbs up to let me know you enjoy what I'm doing. That's pretty much everything. All I've got to say is that I've been Jason. This has been the Dude Cave. These have been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.